In the dim glow of a bustling wedding hall, where crystal chandeliers dangled like forgotten dreams and the air hummed with the chatter of the elite, an elderly woman named Eleanor collapsed to her knees. Her frail hands, gnarled from decades of toil, clutched a towering stack of silver trays laden with ornate centerpieces. The weight pressed down like the burdens of a lifetime, and as the trays teetered precariously, she cried out in a voice cracked with exhaustion, "My arms are tired." The room fell silent, eyes turning toward her in a mix of pity and disdain. But in that frozen moment, a man in a tailored suit, a millionaire whose fortune could buy empires, burst through the doors, his face etched with urgency, rushing toward her as if her plea had pierced his very soul. Eleanor Thompson had never imagined her life would lead to this. Born in a small, rain-soaked town in rural Vermont, she grew up with the kind of dreams that faded like morning mist. At 18, she married Harold, a kind-hearted mechanic with a laugh that could chase away storms. They built a modest home, filled it with love, and welcomed their only son, David, into the world. But fate, that cruel architect, had other plans. When David was just 10, Harold was killed in a factory accident, leaving Eleanor to navigate the wreckage alone. She took on 2 jobs, cleaning houses by day and sewing alterations by night, to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. Her arms, once soft and nurturing, grew strong from lifting, scrubbing, and carrying the weight of survival. David, her bright-eyed boy, watched her sacrifices and vowed to make her proud. Years blurred into one another like pages in a worn book. David excelled in school on scholarships Eleanor fought tooth and nail to secure. He earned a degree in engineering, landed a job in the city, and met Sophia Kensington, a woman whose world was as polished as Eleanor's was rough. Sophia was the daughter of Reginald Kensington, a self-made millionaire whose tech empire spanned continents. She had porcelain skin, a wardrobe of designer labels, and a heart that, beneath the veneer of privilege, yearned for authenticity. David and Sophia's love blossomed quickly, a whirlwind romance that culminated in an engagement announcement that sent ripples through both families. Eleanor was overjoyed at first. "My boy deserves the stars," she'd say, her eyes twinkling as she imagined David's future. But as wedding plans unfolded, the chasm between their worlds became painfully apparent. Sophia's family hosted lavish events in sprawling venues, where guests sipped champagne worth more than Eleanor's monthly rent. Eleanor, with her simple dresses and calloused hands, felt like an intruder. Reginald, a stern man with a silver mane and a reputation for ruthlessness in business, barely acknowledged her. His wife, Lydia, a socialite with a perpetual smile that never reached her eyes, made subtle jabs about humble beginnings that stung like paper cuts. The real tension simmered with Sophia herself. She adored David, but the pressure from her parents to maintain appearances weighed heavily. "We must ensure everything is perfect," she'd say, her voice laced with anxiety. Eleanor, eager to contribute, offered to help with preparations. What started as small tasks, folding napkins, arranging flowers, escalated into grueling labor. Sophia, caught in the whirlwind, delegated more and more to Eleanor without realizing the toll. "Just carry these trays to the hall, Eleanor. It won't take long," Sophia had said that fateful afternoon, her mind elsewhere on floral arrangements and guest lists. Eleanor's arms burned as she hefted the heavy silver trays, each one stacked with crystal vases and silk. The task is to write an engaging and emotional story based on the title. The elderly woman pleaded with her son's fiancé, "My arms are tired," then the millionaire rushed. "I need to begin with a powerful hook. Develop the plot with emotional depth and relatable characters. Include key challenges and resolutions. Maintain a smooth pace for a 15-minute YouTube video. End with a strong, inspiring message. Minimum 1,200 words. The story should be long, at least 1,200 words. No tools needed here, it's a creative writing task. Structure the story. Hook. Start with something dramatic to grab attention. Introduction of characters. Elderly woman, mother, her son, the fiancé, and a millionaire who rushes in. Plot development. Build emotional depth. The plea, "My arms are tired," suggests she's holding something heavy, maybe metaphorically or literally. Idea. The elderly woman is poor, working hard, perhaps carrying heavy loads. Her son is engaged to a woman from a different background. The millionaire could be the fiancé's father or someone else. Plot outline. Hook. The elderly woman collapsing or something dramatic. Background. Introduce the mother, Maria, who's been raising her son alone, working multiple jobs. Son, Alex, successful but distant, engaged to Sophia, from a wealthy family. Conflict. Maria is struggling, perhaps with health issues, but proud. She's at the engagement party or something, helping out, carrying trays or whatever, and pleads to Sophia. My arms are tired, maybe she's holding a baby or something. Wait, perhaps metaphorical, tired of holding the family together. Make it literal. Maria is a cleaner or something at the fiancé's family home, but that might not fit. Better idea. The story is set in a wedding or engagement scenario. The mother is holding something symbolic. Perhaps the mother is begging on the street, holding a sign, arms tired from holding it up. Then son's fiancé sees her, and the millionaire fiancé's father rushes to help. To make it emotional, the son has abandoned the mother or something. Refine. Maria, elderly, living in poverty, son Alex left for city, successful, engaged to Sophia. Maria travels to the city to see the engagement, but arrives tired, perhaps carrying her belongings. At the venue, she's mistaken for a beggar or something, but pleads to Sophia. Title: The elderly woman pleaded with her son's fiancé, my arms are tired, then the millionaire rushed. So, the millionaire rushes after the plea. Perhaps the millionaire is a separate character. Or the son is the millionaire. No, son's fiancé. Let's say the son is not millionaire, but the millionaire is someone who hears this and rushes to help. To tie it in, story idea: in a bustling city, an elderly woman, Elena, is at a bus stop, arms aching from carrying heavy bags. She's going to her son's engagement party but got lost. She pleads to a young woman, the fiancé, for help, saying, my arms are tired. The young woman helps, realizes it's her fiancé's mother. Then, a millionaire, perhaps the fiancé's boss or a passerby, rushes in, but need to make it fit. Perhaps the millionaire is the fiancé, but the title says son's fiancé, so son is not millionaire. Title: The millionaire rushed. Perhaps the millionaire is a character who intervenes. To make it engaging, let's craft the story. Aim for 1200 plus words. Start writing in my mind. Hook. The rain poured down like tears from heaven, soaking Elena to the bone as she stood on the slick pavement, her frail arms trembling under the weight of her tattered suitcase. Please, she whispered to the elegant young woman passing by, my arms are tired. Then build from there. The young woman is the fiancé. Develop the story. Challenges: family estrangement, poverty versus wealth, reconciliation. Resolution: the millionaire. Perhaps the fiancé's father rushes to adopt her or help. Or the millionaire is a famous person who sees this and helps, but need to fit the title. The title has, then the millionaire rushed, so probably rushes to the scene. Inspiring message. About family, kindness, forgiveness. Okay, I think I can write it directly in the response. In the heart of New York City's relentless downpour, where the skyscrapers pierced the storm clouds like defiant spears, an elderly woman named Elena clutched her weathered suitcase with knuckles white as bone. Her arms, gnarled from decades of labor, quivered under the strain. She had traveled 300 miles on a rattling bus, her life savings spent on the ticket, only to find herself lost in the maze of Manhattan. As lightning cracked the sky, she spotted a young woman in a tailored coat, hurrying past with an umbrella. Desperation clawed at Elena's throat. Please, miss, she pleaded, her voice barely audible over the thunder, my arms are tired. Could you help an old woman find her way? The young woman stopped, her designer heels splashing in a puddle. Sophia, with her polished poise and eyes like polished emeralds, tilted her umbrella to shield the stranger. She had no idea this frail figure was about to upend her perfect world. Elena Rossi had once been the unbreakable pillar of a small Italian-American family in rural Pennsylvania. Widowed young after her husband, a coal miner, succumbed to black lung, she raised her only son, Marco, on sheer willpower. Mornings started at dawn in the local diner, flipping eggs and pouring coffee for truckers who tipped in dimes. Afternoons were spent sewing alterations for neighbors, her fingers pricked raw by needles. Evenings blurred into nights at the laundromat, folding strangers' clothes while dreaming of a better life for Marco. He was her everything, a bright boy with a laugh that could light up the dimmest room. Elena sacrificed her youth for his future, extra shifts to buy him books, skipped meals to afford his soccer cleats. One day, mio figlio, she'd whisper as she tucked him in, you'll soar like the eagles. And soar he did. Marco earned a scholarship to NYU, graduated with honors in finance, and climbed the corporate ladder to become a mid-level analyst at a Wall Street firm. But success came with a price. Calls home grew sparse, visits rarer. Elena understood. The city was a siren song, pulling him away. Yet, her heart ached like an open wound. When Marco announced his engagement to Sophia Vanderbilt over a crackling phone line, Alina's joy was bittersweet. Sophia came from old money, the Vanderbilts, descendants of railroad tycoons, with a family estate in the Hamptons and a penthouse overlooking Central Park. Marco had met her at a gala, where her grace and intellect captivated him. "She's perfect, Mama," he'd said. "You'll love her." Elena sold her prized antique necklace to buy a bus ticket to the engagement party, determined to be there despite her failing health. Arthritis twisted her joints, and a persistent cough hinted at something deeper, but she pushed on. "Family is all we have," she told herself. Now, standing in the rain, Elena's plea hung in the air. Sophia, ever the compassionate soul beneath her polished exterior, lowered her umbrella further. "Of course," she said softly, her voice warm like honey. "Where are you headed? Let me help with that bag." As Sophia reached for the suitcase, Elena's eyes widened. The young woman's engagement ring glinted, a diamond the size of a marble, set in platinum. It matched the description Marco had given. "You're Sophia," Elena gasped, her voice trembling. Sophia froze, confusion etching her flawless features. "How do you know my name?" Elena's lips quivered. "I'm Elena, Marco's mother." The words landed like a thunderclap. Sophia's mind raced. Marco had spoken of his mother with fondness but distance, painting her as a simple woman content in her small town. He hadn't mentioned her coming to the city unannounced. The engagement party was tonight, at her family's upscale venue in Midtown, a black-tie affair with champagne fountains and string quartets. Sophia's parents, especially her father, Reginald Vanderbilt, a self-made millionaire in tech investments worth billions, though he preferred Millionaire, for its understated ring, had orchestrated every detail to impress their elite circle. Sophia's heart softened. This woman, drenched and weary, was family now. "Oh my goodness," she murmured, pulling Elena under the umbrella. "Let's get you out of this rain. The party's just a few blocks away." But as they walked, Elena's steps faltered. Her arms, relieved of the suitcase, still ached from years of burden, not just physical but emotional. She had held Marco through fevers, through heartbreaks, through the grief of losing his father. Now, she felt like she was holding onto a threadbare rope, slipping away. At the venue, a glittering ballroom in a historic hotel, the party was in full swing. Crystal chandeliers cast a golden glow over guests in tuxedos and gowns. Marco, dashing in his tailored suit, scanned the room nervously. He hadn't told Sophia about his humble roots in detail, shame had silenced him. His childhood home was a leaky shotgun shack, meals often beans and bread. He feared the Vanderbilts' judgment. When Sophia entered with Elena on her arm, whispers rippled through the crowd. Elena's faded dress, soaked and muddied, clashed with the opulence. Marco's face paled. "Mama, what are you doing here?" Elena's eyes filled with tears. "I came to celebrate, figlio mio. But I didn't want to embarrass you." The room hushed as Reginald Vanderbilt, a towering man with silver hair and a commanding presence, approached. He had built his fortune from nothing, a poor kid from Brooklyn who coded his way to wealth. But success had hardened him, he valued appearances above all. Sophia, sensing tension, guided Elena to a quiet corner. "Tell me what's wrong," she urged gently. Elena hesitated, then poured out her soul. "My arms are tired, dear. Not just from the bag. From carrying everything alone. Marco, he left, and I let him go. But now, my body's giving out. The doctor says it's cancer, stage 3. I didn't tell him, didn't want to burden him." Sophia's eyes welled up. She had lost her own mother young, to a car accident, and understood the void of unspoken pain. "You're not a burden," she whispered. "You're his strength." Marco overheard, his world shattering. Guilt crashed over him like the rain outside. How had he forgotten? The woman who gave him everything, now fighting alone. He knelt beside her. "Mama, why didn't you say?" "I'm so sorry." Elena touched his cheek. "Because I love you, and love doesn't demand." The emotional crescendo peaked as Reginald, who had been eavesdropping, felt a stir in his steel heart. He remembered his own mother, a single parent scrubbing floors to put him through community college. She had died poor, her arms tired from a life of toil, and he had vowed never to let family suffer again. But in his climb, he had prioritized wealth over warmth. Seeing Elena, he saw his past. Without a word, Reginald rushed forward, the millionaire in the title, propelled by a surge of empathy. "Enough," he boomed, his voice cutting through the murmurs. He enveloped Elena in a bear hug, ignoring the wet fabric staining his Armani suit. "Your family now. No more tired arms." The room gasped as he announced, "The party's off script. Tonight, we honor Elena Rossi, the woman who raised the man my daughter loves." What followed was a whirlwind of resolutions. Reginald, leveraging his connections, arranged immediate medical care for Elena at the city's top oncology center. He funded her treatment, no strings attached, and insisted she move into the guest wing of their estate. "You've carried enough," he told her. Marco, humbled, recommitted to his roots. He visited daily, sharing stories of his childhood with Sophia, who embraced Elena like the mother she never had. Challenges abounded. Elena's cancer treatments were grueling, chemotherapy that left her weak, radiation that burned her spirit. There were nights when doubt crept in. Would she survive? Could the family bridge the class divide? Sophia faced her own trial, confronting her father's emotional walls. "Dad, money isn't love," she challenged him one evening. Reginald, for the first time, wept. "I know, sweetheart, I'm learning." Marco grappled with guilt, working fewer hours to care for Elena. One poignant moment came during a family dinner, Elena's first in the opulent home. As she lifted a spoon with trembling hands, she joked, "My arms are still tired, but my heart is full." Laughter mingled with tears, forging bonds stronger than steel. Months passed, the pace of healing deliberate, like a river carving stone. Elena's cancer went into remission, a miracle born of early intervention and unyielding love. The wedding, postponed, became a celebration of unity, held in Pennsylvania, blending Vanderbilt grandeur with Rossi simplicity. Guests from both worlds mingled, Wall Street tycoons dancing with diner regulars. In the end, as Elena watched Marco and Sophia exchange vows under a canopy of autumn leaves, she felt weightless. No more burdens. The inspiring message echoed in her soul. Family isn't defined by blood or bank accounts, but by the willingness to lift each other when arms grow weary. Kindness, like a rush of unexpected help, can transform lives. Reginald, now a softer man, toasted, to tired arms finding rest, and to the millionaires in spirit who rushed to provide it. Elena's story spread, whispered in cafes and shared online, reminding the world that in our busiest moments, a plea for help can spark redemption. And sometimes, the greatest wealth is the love we give freely.